The engine's roar vibrated through Captain Jack Lucky Malone's bones as his P-51 Mustang sliced through the chilly dawn air over the English Channel. June 6, 1944. The day everything would change. Below him, the largest invasion fleet ever assembled churned toward Normandy's beaches, tiny landing craft looking like toys from this altitude. Malone adjusted his oxygen mask and scanned the horizon. His squadron's job was simple. Keep the Luftwaffe off the bombers at all costs. "Bandits, 11 o'clock high!" His wingman Eddie Carter's voice crackled through the headset. Malone's eyes snapped upward, instantly spotting the dark specks against the morning sky. A swarm of Focke-Wulf 190s diving toward the B-17 formations. The flying fortresses, heavy with bombs and flying straight and level, made perfect targets. Malone's throat tightened. "Tally-ho! Brake left and climb!" He shoved the throttle forward, feeling the Mustang surge as the Rolls-Royce Merlin engine screamed in protest. The P-51 was faster at altitude than the German fighters, and Malone used every ounce of that advantage. At 400 yards, he lined up the lead Focke-Wulf in his gun sight and squeezed the trigger. The .50 caliber machine guns rattled the airframe, tracers streaking toward the enemy plane. The first burst missed wide right. Malone adjusted slightly, fired again. This time the rounds found their mark, stitching across the 190's wing route. Smoke began pouring from the German fighter as it rolled violently away, its pilot struggling for control. "Nice shooting, Lucky!" Carter called out. But the celebration was premature. Malone's blood turned to ice as he saw another pair of 190s sliding in behind Carter's plane. "Eddie! Brake right! Now!" Malone yanked his stick hard left, his vision graying at the edges as the G-forces pressed him into his seat. The Mustang responded beautifully, cutting inside the German's turn. Malone lined up the enemy fighter in his sights and fired a 3-second burst. The 1900's cockpit exploded in a flash of flame and debris, the wreckage tumbling toward the channel below. Carter's relieved voice came through the radio. "Oh, you won, Lucky." "Just watch your 6, Malone replied, already scanning for more threats. Below them, the bombers had reached their initial points. Bomb bay doors yawned open as they approached the Normandy coast. Then the flak started. Black, deadly flowers of smoke blooming all around the formations. Malone watched helplessly as one B-17 took a direct hit. The right wing tore clean off, the fortress spinning wildly before breaking apart. 3 parachutes emerged from the wreckage. 3 out of 10 men. Malone swallowed hard and turned back to the fight. Half a world away, the Pacific sun beat down mercilessly on Lieutenant Commander Kenji Joe Takahashi as he banked his A6M0 over the sparkling waters off Guadalcanal. The American task force below looked like children's toys from this altitude, destroyers and cruisers circling protectively around the massive, ungainly shape of an aircraft carrier. Takahashi's squadron had orders to stop them at all costs. He adjusted his goggles and scanned the horizon. There, a group of sluggish TBF Avenger torpedo bombers skimming just above the waves, heading toward the Japanese fleet. The American planes were slow, easy prey for a skilled pilot. Takahashi signaled to his wingman and dove. The Zero's lightweight airframe responded instantly, the wind screaming through its wing slots. Takahashi lined up on the last Avenger in the formation. At 200 meters, he opened fire. His 20mm cannons thumped, shells tearing into the American plane's fuselage. Smoke began pouring from the Avenger's engine, but its rear gunner kept firing defiantly. A bullet punched through Takahashi's left wing with a sound like a hammer on tin. Then the Avenger's right wing dipped into the water. The plane cartwheeled spectacularly, sending up a huge plume of spray. Takahashi didn't have time to watch. His wingman was screaming a warning. Wildcats! The American fighters dove out of the sun like avenging angels, their .50 caliber guns already spitting fire. Takahashi pulled into a climbing turn that would have killed a lesser pilot, his Zero's lightweight construction allowing maneuvers impossible for the heavier American planes. But one Wildcat pilot anticipated his move. Tracers ripped through his left wing, shredding the aileron. The controls went mushy in his hands. Oil began smearing his windshield in black streaks. He had seconds to decide, bail out over shark-infested waters or try to nurse the crippled Zero back to the carrier. Takahashi gritted his teeth and turned east. Over occupied France, the moon cast silvery light on the patchwork of fields and forests below. Flight Lieutenant Richard Batts Holloway guided his de Havilland Mosquito through the night sky, the twin Merlin engines barely whispering. The wooden wonder lived up to its nickname, fast, agile, and nearly invisible to German radar. His navigator, Sergeant Pete Dawson, hunched over the H-2S radar screen. "Target coming up in 3 minutes. Railway junction at Amiens. Flak battery reported at 3 o'clock. Holloway nodded, his hands resting lightly on the controls. The Mosquito carried no defensive armament. Its protection was speed and surprise. As they approached the target, searchlights suddenly stabbed the darkness, their blinding beams sweeping back and forth. "Here we go," Holloway muttered. Almost on cue, the first flak bursts erupted around them, black puffs of smoke filled with deadly shrapnel. The Mosquito bucked like a wild horse as a nearby explosion shook the airframe. Dawson's voice remained calm. "Steady, steady, left a little, hold it there." The bomb site's crosshairs aligned with the critical railway junction below. "Bombs away!" The Mosquito lurched upward as the payload released. Holloway didn't wait to see the impact. He firewalled the throttles and banked hard right, away from the flak battery. A glance back showed the satisfying sight of explosions rippling through the rail yard, ammunition trains cooking off in spectacular secondary detonations. "Direct hit," Dawson reported with satisfaction. "That'll give Jerry something to think about." Holloway allowed himself a small smile as he turned for home. Another night, another successful raid. But he knew better than to relax. The flight back across the channel was often more dangerous than the approach. The war ground on relentlessly. Malone flew 3 more missions on D-Day, shooting down 2 more German fighters, but losing Carter to a lucky shot from a hidden flak battery. He watched his friend's Mustang spiral into a Normandy orchard, no parachute emerging from the wreckage. Takahashi miraculously made it back to his carrier, only to learn it would be sunk that same night by American dive bombers. He spent hours treading water before being rescued, watching as his home of 6 months slipped beneath the waves in a pool of burning oil. Holloway completed 17 more raids before a German night fighter finally got lucky over Berlin. The cannon shells tore through the Mosquito's left engine, but he somehow managed to glide it across the channel, crash landing in a farmer's field in Kent with 2 broken ribs and a new respect for the plane's durability. They never met, never knew each other existed. Malone went on to fly escort missions over the Ruhr, his kill count rising with each engagement. Takahashi survived the war's end. His final kamikaze mission canceled when the Emperor surrendered. Holloway transitioned to training new pilots, his combat days behind him. In those brief, terrifying moments, when the sky turned to fire and screaming metal, they had all stood between victory and defeat. The planes were eventually scrapped, the airfields returned to farmland. But the stories remained, of Malone's last desperate dogfight over the Bulge, when he ran out of ammo and used his prop wash to disrupt an enemy's attack, of Takahashi's impossible escape from 6 Hellcats by flying into a typhoon, of Holloway's navigation through a blizzard with nothing but a damaged compass and stubborn pride. The war ended. The men went home, but the sky would never forget their battles.